You are now within seconds and minutes of horror, because this video will actually infuse one of my favorite topics from Minutes of Horror. People who become absolutely berserk on their flights after seeing something. Remember all the way back in 2023, we were getting a lot of news stories about planes. These news stories were not as scary as they are today, with all these plane crashes, planes colliding into each other, almost colliding into each other, the planes catching on fire and so forth. No. We were getting news stories where passengers, again, they were panicking because they were seeing something. On my channel, Minutes of Horror, it was a lot of fun theorizing what was happening to these passengers, what they were seeing. But one word kept popping up, and that word happened to be demons. Not from the people who are theorizing, but from the people who are actually on these planes. We had people saying that they were seeing demons. We had other passengers saying how a passenger was possessed by a demon. So it was almost coming off like a pattern. Well, today, we actually have another news story involving an unruly passenger and demons. This, again, like the woman known as Tiffany Gomez, happened on an American Airlines flight where we have an individual saying that he saw demons. And this is also coming 1 week after we had a woman take off all her clothes and go berserk on her flight.
Top at 10, an unsettling flight from Savannah, Georgia to Miami leaves passengers shaken after they say a man on their plane began behaving erratically. Witnesses say he started screaming and stomping when the wheels went up. I'm Jim Barry. They say he then swallowed rosary beads and kicked a flight attendant in the chest. CBS News Miami's Anna McAllister joins us live from MIA with this exclusive. Anna, bring us up to speed on this.
Well, Jim, I spoke to a passenger that helped to take this man down, and he tells me this entire ordeal was the most disturbing thing he's ever experienced in his life. This Savannah flight bound for Miami hit turbulence just moments after takeoff, and we're not talking about the skies.
Myself and my friend were talking, we're like, we could have to take this guy down.
Rob Rosenberg was on this Monday night flight when he says a man, later identified as 31-year-old Delange Augustin, started violently shaking and screaming moments after takeoff. Rosenberg says the crew and passengers initially thought Augustin was having a seizure.
He started stomping his feet violently, like heavily, and screaming. It was kind of a chant. He was talking about devils and possession, and it was like, you have to kind of see it to believe it, sort of thing.
According to the criminal complaint, when Flight Attendant 2 approached Augustin to check on his welfare, Augustin turned in his seat, lifted his legs, and kicked Flight Attendant 2 in the chest.
He was being so violent, you were like, this is not normal.
Police say after he kicked the flight attendant, the pilot decided to turn the plane back to Savannah. But Rosenberg says the man continued causing a scene by kicking the back of another passenger's seat.
Destroyed this other man's seat. Like, he kicked it and punched it and just buckled the seat completely over.
Rosenberg says once they were grounded, Augustin once again became violent.
He just charged the front doors of the plane, like swinging wildly.
That's when Rosenberg, his friend, and another man took Augustin down. Rosenberg says Augustin swallowed rosary beads while on the ground and was gripping onto his sister during the takedown.
She had a bun in her hair, and he grabbed hold of her bun in her hair, and he grabbed hold of her pants and wouldn't let her go. So they tased him once, twice, 3 times. He still didn't let go. At that point, they had to cut the woman's hair to make him let go.
Rosenberg says Augustin was arrested while his sister sang what sounded like hymns.
They were possessed. That was a very, very, very disturbing scene. I've seen a lot of stuff in my life. That was probably the most disturbing thing I've ever seen.
And according to this criminal complaint, Augustin told his sister while they were on the flight that they were going to go to Haiti to flee from spiritual and religious attacks. Police also say that Augustin told his sister that Satan's disciples had followed them onto the plane. He is facing several charges tonight. But for now, reporting live from the Miami International Airport, Anna McAllister, CBS News, Miami.
This is very creepy, it's very eerie, and this kind of plays into what I said on one of my last videos on Minutes of Horror, where I said these passengers are becoming enraged right before the plane takes off, or right as the plane takes off, to the point that the passenger is yelling and screaming they want off the plane. They're banging on the cockpit. Some of these passengers are jumping out of the plane. It is very hard for me to find a story where this is happening to a passenger where they are seeing something mid-flight and it causes them to go berserk. No, once again, it happens either during takeoff or right before takeoff. Something is stopping these planes from fully taking off, and who knows, maybe a lot of these passengers who are delaying these planes are stopping a mid-air collision. You never know. They are having some sort of premonition by seeing something. I had also covered a story not that long ago about just that, plane crashes and premonitions, about how so many people have had premonitions before a plane had crashed. And if they just had acted upon their premonition, they could still be alive. But talking about demons, demonic possession, and planes, there was a story I covered back on December 16th, where a plane passenger in Omaha, he was yelling, "God is real," and he was scuffling with the flight crew. Multiple men had to get involved and try to tackle this man. He kept saying he saw demons on his plane. He was acting, again, the other plane passengers, they were saying how he was acting possessed. And it took 4 or 5 men, again, to try to restrain him. And they still could not fully restrain him. They were saying how he was showing some kind of supernatural strength. One man said this passenger he was trying to restrain basically flung him like a rag doll. Reading this most recent story from the New York Post, they tried to tase him not once, not twice, but 3 times. Yet still, Augustin would not let go of his sister's hair. And at that point, they had to cut the woman's hair to make him let go. He was not budging as he was being tased multiple times. He was also said to have swallowed a rosary, which his sister later told police was because the beads are a weapon of strength in spiritual warfare. And again, according to the affidavit, after the duo was detained, Augustin's sister told authorities they were traveling to Haiti to flee religious attacks of a spiritual nature. While on the flight, Augustin told his sister to close her eyes and pray because Satan's disciples had followed them onto the plane and the Legion did not want the Augustins to make it to Haiti. This plane story actually reminds me of another plane story that I never had the chance to cover. People will say that this always happens in the United States, but they are wrong. This is happening all over the world, especially in countries where you don't want to mess around, especially on flights, like in China. I'm reading this article from The Sun, which is titled, "Fright Flight Moment Passenger Possessed by Devil Forces Plane to Make Emergency Landing." And this woman, she was going berserk on her flight, saying how she saw demons, devils, demons were following her, and the passengers, they were terrified.
我就在坐他前面一点，30分钟。当时广播说找那个有医护经验的，是那个去给他检查的人说，当时叫他，他是完全没有反应，脉搏也很弱，患病日测吸了一些氧，这个恢复了精神，就开始大声叫嚷，不要返航。空乘制止他了嘛，跟空乘说你们不要拉我，你这拉我就要杀人啦。最后还是控制住他。
东西，他只不过刚才上我身了。现在飞机返航了，你们是查不出来的。不要。
上机之后，警察真也上机，但他还是坚持不下机。机长决定清仓，其他乘客坐摆渡车回到后勤楼。
车上的乘务员都在骗我，我都跟他们说后面我自己了，为什么？
是这事儿，您是说后果最后要真有。
One of the more bizarre stories I covered that involved a passenger losing his mind was this passenger on this Russian flight where the flight was delayed after he was yelling that he saw the ghost of Wagner Group mercenaries on his flight. This man's plane was set to depart the St. Petersburg-bound flight from Novosibirsk. When he started to yell, "Stop, stop the takeoff, I'm not kidding," the outlets translate the man saying, "Stop the takeoff, do it fast. Stop the takeoff quickly, do it fast. I can see, stop the takeoff, make a stop." The Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine shared the video on X, formerly known as Twitter, noting the passenger begged the flight crew not to take off because he saw 3 ghosts of Wagner Group mercenaries who were watching him. This man was saying how these ghosts were scaring him. They were pulling out all these weird things from their stomach. Their faces were distorting. He claimed what they looked like were demons. He was that scared and he was panicking. He was begging his mother to let him off this flight. And then a week later, the Wagner mercenary group, their flight crashed on this exact path, taking out even the leader. Then we had a woman in Ireland not too long ago on a Ryanair flight who kept yelling how she saw the devil.
Yeah, but this is the captain speaking. Just for passengers in row 10, seat, go on, folks. If you don't return to your seats and behave looking at making a diversion and offloading you on the aircraft, you will be liable for all costs associated with this. So, for your own safety, I would recommend you go back to your seat, remain quiet, and respect the passengers around you. If I have to come back on the intercom again, there will be police that arrive at the door. So, passengers attending, please return to your seats, and please have some manners with the people around you.
I'm sorry, helicopter, I'm sorry. I don't want to see that joke. I don't want to see him. Listen to me.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand. The devil is there. The devil. The devil is there. The devil. The devil is there.
But talking about demons and devils on planes, we had this wild story back on November of 2023, where we had a woman breaking down saying she saw demons on her flight. Then all of a sudden she started jumping over seats, spitting on people, to the point once again we had other passengers saying she was possessed by a demon and this was not her.
Straight Texas now. Straight Texas now. This hospital, I'm gonna beat your ass. Stop blocking me. You have no idea I've been raped. I've been fucking kidnapped. Stop fucking blocking me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need everyone, please take your seats. Now, please. Only people that should be up are the people that are working with the passengers in the back. Everyone, please take your seats.
Stop blocking There's a real devil that wants to kill each and every one of y'all, including your family members. That's not her. She's possessed and she needs help. And I'm sorry to say it like that, but I'm telling you right now, Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And there's nobody that's going to come to the God, the Father, without Jesus Christ. And I'm telling you right now, the spirit of peace is the only thing y'all need. To trust Him. In the name of Jesus, I command the spirit of peace. As anybody knows, who doesn't have a relationship with Jesus Christ? Everybody say, I don't care. I'm only telling y'all this because all hell is about to break loose and y'all getting the evidence of it.
And the thing to me happens to be the fact that why only planes? You don't hear of any news stories of people seeing demons or becoming demonically possessed on cruise ships, party ships like Royal Caribbean or Carnival. And people do consume a lot of alcohol on cruise ships, and I'm sure they do drugs as well. Same thing with buses. When have you heard a news story of a passenger on a bus saying they see demons and they go berserk because of said demons? Trains, people always act strange on passenger trains, but when have you ever heard a news story where, again, somebody is saying that they see demons or ghosts on a train and it's driving them insane? The stories that I have shown and covered on this video are just a few out of many plane passengers that are seeing things, seeing supernatural things on flights, and again, it's causing them to lose their minds to the point that other passengers are saying that that passenger has become possessed by a demon.